everyone. Welcome back to the Peninsulas. Cheers.
Cheers.
Today, we are back together for another chit chat about miscellaneous farming items. But first, what kind of tea do you have, Shannon?
I have Trader Joe's chai tea.
Whoa.
I specify Trader Joe's because I feel like all chai tea has a slightly different flavor to it. But
I've never had, I had chai tea once and I didn't care for it too much, and I haven't had it, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. Well, it is particular, but I like it because I really like ginger a lot. So it has ginger and cardamom and black tea. So lots of kind of spicy flavors that I really enjoy. And an interesting tidbit that I just learned about chai. Chai is the Hindi word for tea. So when I say chai tea, I'm saying tea tea.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that. I wonder if people think that we're just uneducated sometimes in the world when we're using words from different languages without
probably. But granted, I mean, there are a lot of random English words on t-shirts in other countries that makes no sense. So I feel like it's a fair,
I think
well balanced.
That's the board. Yeah. Well, I have Earl Grey tea today, and I discovered that Earl Grey tea is flavored with oil of bergamot.
Oh,
I'm not sure what that is.
Isn't that a citrus fruit?
I see. I don't.
Maybe not. Don't believe anything I say.
And nobody is exactly sure why it came about to be called Earl Grey tea. Something to do with the second Earl Grey in the 1800s.
Seems logical.
But no one is clear on the story and what actually happened. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Interesting. Nothing like getting a tea named after you, but no one knows why or who exactly happened, how it happened.
Yeah. So that's my story. But it's a good day for tea here because it's cold for Florida. It's in the 50s out there and windy.
Ooh, wind is a killer.
Yeah.
It's a bit chilly here. It's on the nippy 17 degrees side. We have lots of snow. The sun is shining though, which is nice because we haven't had sun out in several days, like almost a week probably. It's not warm enough to melt the snow because it's so cold, but so it's very sunny and the chickens are happy. I'm happy. I feel like I could do all the things if my hands would stay warm.
I have to get some wool.
Yes, wool gloves. I can't do anything in gloves though. Like, I don't know if you have like a specific type of glove that you can do things in. I can use gardening gloves, but I can't use like warm winter gloves to do anything. I can't maneuver stuff with my fingers. So I end up taking them off and shoving in my pocket.
For our viewers, if you guys live in the North Country, do you have gloves that fit really well where you still have dexterity but keep your fingers warm?
Yes. If you do know a glove, drop it in the comments because I will invest in a pair because my hands get very cold and I can't do anything outside with gloves on that have any warmth to them.
They're usually too bulky. You're not made for being dexterous.
Exactly. Yep, that's my problem. But I do what I can.
So today we were going to talk about kind of garden planning and what that looks like for each of us. It's quite different, as you can imagine, from Florida to Michigan. So I'm sorry I keep looking over here. My cat is wreaking havoc in the corner.
I can hear him.
I'm going to ignore him for the time being. Hopefully he won't break anything.
So as just a quick sneak peek, I got some lovely seed packets in the mail a while ago from my gardener. Have very excited. I love flowers. So I invested in a few flowers. So we will have a seed packet unpacking there sometime soon.
That would be of interest to me going forward too, because I know that you want to put in also a butterfly garden.
I do. and a cut flower garden as well.
Yeah. Which are two things that I haven't really thought too much about doing. I do love having pollinator plants out there, but I just kind of throw them wherever instead of having a designated garden for them. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your plans for that at some point as well.
Yeah, so just a quick last year I had lots of nasturtiums and marigolds in the garden. They're supposed to help with pests. However, I planted the nasturtiums way too late. They did end up blooming very nicely, but they were late. So my plan is to go ahead and do that again. So integrating a lot of flowers into the garden itself. But in the section that I have, that is the new garden plot, I have my irises out front, and then I will do my dahlias again in the same kind of area there. I have peonies that are hopefully going to come up next year. And then I do have a patch of wildflowers that I started that is very close to the garden plot where I'm going to have my garlic and tomatoes and just a few other much more sun-loving plants out there. So
Nice.
as we give a more detailed garden explanation for planning, I will kind of elaborate that a little bit more. But yeah, I love snapdragons. They're one of my favorites. Dahlias are another of my favorites. Dahlias would grow great in Florida. You wouldn't have to dig them up. Yeah, they love the hotness. They're more of like a warm weather plant. So I think it's zones 4. No, I'm sorry, zones 8 and above. They can be grown as perennials. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm in zone 8B, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. We have to dig ours up, which I did that for the first time. I've never planted dahlias before, so I dug them up. They're in my basement, kind of chilling until I can put them in a pot to get them started in the house.
Do they have bulbs then?
Well, they're just like a goofy looking tuber thing that kind of looks like a sweet potato that's ugly. And I planted one, and now each plant has about 4 or 5 on them that I'm hoping will be able to divide and survive till next spring. So
that's a good idea. I never really considered doing dahlias here, but I should try it for this year.
You should. Highly suggest. Dahlias are one of the flowers that have the largest amount of varieties because they are so easy to cross and create new varieties. I think there's over 600, over 1,000.
Wow.
Yes, there's a lot.
Very cool. Huh. Well, in terms of trying to do vegetables, I know down here, kind of the first thing, so going into the new year, kind of the first thing that I will plant will be potatoes in February. Specifically, they say that you want the potatoes in the ground by Valentine's Day or on Valentine's Day, but not any later than that. So really that kind of kicks off my planting season. I don't start seeds indoors. Last year I tried planting seeds in little planter cups and then transplanting, but I didn't do my research. And some of the things that I did that way were things like carrots, parsnips. The little roots don't like to be disturbed on those for transplanting, so they did not transplant well. Other things that I started in little cups were tomatoes that did fairly well, pepper plants, they did okay. But for the most part, I'll start planting in March. And I plant the cooler weather loving crops like peas. I'll do cabbage. Usually there's enough time if you start the beginning of March for the cabbage to put on heads before it gets super hot. When it gets super hot, the cabbage kind of wilts and dies back. It doesn't like it. But the cooler loving plants, I can go ahead and plant in the ground in March. And then as it gets really hot, we're talking May usually, by then it's really hot, I can go ahead and plant my summer crops, peanuts, things like that. So
Wow.
it's usually pretty straightforward. I do cucumber, squash, tomatoes, all that between April and May. Just go ahead and get them in the ground, and then they take off. And then usually the garden will kind of peter out around August just because it's so hot and it's been so hot for so long. So that's kind of how I plan out my segments as far as planting. One thing I would like to try, just a note, is what's it called? Where you plant and then a couple of weeks later.
Succession planting?
Yes. Yeah. I would like to try that this year. I haven't been successful at that before, but I would like to give it a go.
Yeah. That's something new that I'm going to try this year is succession planting, especially with beets and stuff where they just kind of all come in at the same time. Just going to go ahead and do every 2 to 3 weeks, probably every 3 weeks, just because we don't eat a lot of beets. I mean, we do when we have them, but yeah, just going to try that with beets, carrots. I ordered parsnips, so I'm going to try parsnips this time. So ours is vastly different. In February, we're not doing anything outside except watching the snow melt if it's warm enough. But I will be starting seeds inside. So I have a couple of seeds packets that I had last year that I didn't order in time to start indoors. So I'm going to try celeriac. I did start celery successfully, just a couple of plants, but I started them too late, so they didn't mature quite as fast as I wanted them to. So in our growing zone, which is 6A, I believe, you can direct sow everything if you want to, but your growing season is super short. So in order to extend that growing season, we start seeds inside or in a greenhouse if you have one, which I do not yet have one. So in February, I'll be sowing seeds inside like celeriac, celery, broccoli, stuff like that that can go out probably around mid-April when this ground is kind of warmer. It can kind of handle the cooler weather pretty well. Last year, I planted peas and carrots and beets outside around probably the beginning of April. It didn't sprout until probably almost the beginning of May because we had a pretty good cold snap. So I'm going to wait till probably mid-April, end of April this time to plant those things outside. And then just go ahead with the celeriac and stuff. You can plant that stuff out right when the ground is workable. So
which is when they're in April already, you can.
Yeah, usually in April you can work it pretty well. At least last year, it was that way. I think so for planting your warm weather crops and plants outside, they say to wait until Memorial or after Memorial Day.
Okay, so
which is end of May. So the growing season would be pretty short because this year we had our first frost the beginning of November. End of October. It wasn't a hard frost, but enough to make the summer growing plants be like, dead, no more. So in order to make sure that you get your tomatoes and stuff like that going, you're just going to plant already started plants.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that and hope for the best. I have a few plants that I would like to try and get out there in the spring. So some butterfly weed and stuff like that, which I'm still not 100% sure where to put that because it is toxic to some animals. But I would also like to have the butterfly garden stuff going on for some monarchs and attract bees. We didn't have a lot of bees, so I'd like to get some of those in there. But they have to be cold stratified, which means they need to freeze in order to sprout. So I'll have to throw that packet in the freezer because I didn't plant them in the fall.
That's a good point too, though, because if you guys are trying to grow things in the colder climates. Some seeds, uh, they do well in the cold, freezing ground, and then they'll come back. Some seeds that will kill them, and you can't do that. And then others, like you were just saying, they need that cold in order to work. So
Yep.
a good thing to research before trying to go out and put seeds. And it'll help with your timing as well, right? Because
Absolutely.
if you're still going to have a hard freeze, you don't want to put out vulnerable seeds that will then be killed and not come up later.
Yeah. And usually a lot of the seed catalogs that I get do describe it very well. Like this is frost resistant, or it will sprout at such and such a temperature of soil temperature. And I don't check my soil temperature because I don't really have an excuse for that, but I just don't. So I usually just go by if it has been 55 degrees overnight consistently for a while, then okay, we're good to go. Let's throw that out there. So that is very helpful to know, like, okay, this particular plant needs cold stratification. I think stuff like coneflowers like it, lavender likes it, certain types of lavender. I have not had success in growing any coneflowers from seed currently, so that could be because I didn't cold stratify them. I'm going to throw that seed packet inside the freezer as well to try and plant some more in the spring. See how that goes.
That's interesting because when I was up visiting my brother in Wisconsin in October, they had tons of flowers everywhere, and some were the coneflower echinacea plants. And I took seeds from there, and I have them in my freezer right now. So I'm hoping that they will come up in the spring when I put them out there.
Yeah, that would be really cool. You'll have to take some pictures for me. But yeah, that is one thing I need to do is go ahead and throw those in the freezer because they can stay in the freezer. You just have to have them in the freezer for a certain amount of time before you can plant them. And I just did not do that last spring. So that's definitely a goal that I'm going to get that done this spring. So, but in general, for planting stuff, companion planting is kind of something that I'm super interested in doing more of this spring or this growing season. I know you have a little bit more practice with that than I do.
Yeah, I've tried a bunch, and a lot of it does work. I want to do a whole lot more, but there's so much to be learned about that. So I would suggest if it's your first time trying to get into gardening, just get yourself a notebook. Doesn't really matter what kind, and write everything down, everything that you tried, everything that you're going to plan to try. And that way you can refer back to it. You can see what worked, what didn't work, and just keep it going from year to year.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that as well.
Yeah. And a lot of experienced gardeners have suggested also writing down your own personal frost dates. And well, you don't have frost dates. Your own personal frost dates are temperature changes that, your first frost, your last frost. That way, from year to year, you can watch how it might be changing because right now it's based on the average frost for a long period of time, but you might be in a microclimate that is vastly different than your growing zone. So,
and down here, it's really important to mark when it has rained and when it hasn't, because sometimes you can see the growing season. Maybe it wasn't very good, but you didn't get any rain. Sometimes we get too much rain and everything's drowning. So it's just really good to note down these things so that you can try to adjust from year to year. And it really just helps grow your experience and knowledge with your environment and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. And sometimes your failures are definitely not your fault. It could be the rain. It could be some kind of random bug that decided to show up that you didn't know existed, which is very possible. But I think one of the major things is that you're always going to fail at something every season, and you're going to be successful in something no matter what it is, even if it's just like chives, still successful. So
And that's the thing too. Even if only one thing works and all the rest fails, don't be discouraged because the one thing did work and you are a success and it's worth uh just keeping at it.
Yep. And the great thing is you have all year to try to figure out what happened so you can try to do it again next year. That year is very short. Clearly, from summer to summer, it feels like the time flies, especially with the holiday seasons. It's like, oh, but yeah, you get to think about it a lot. And if you're a research person, do your research, get some books from the library. I've got a lot of really great books from the library that I don't read thoroughly, but I glance through really and read the sections that are really relevant to what I'm doing. So,
And that kind of information too, you can write down in your gardening notebook, that you learned that you read in a book or you saw online or whatever. All that it just can be this really rich source of information for you as time goes on.
yeah. And it's very scientific. You can keep doing the same things over and over again and it can keep failing. And then one day you're like, oh, this tiny little thing changed. You've got it. So never give up.
That's right.
Oh, it's about gardening is really just about perseverance and having fun.
It's so true. Yep. Well, I'm down to the end of my tea.
Same. But it's been a great chat.
It has, yeah. As always, you guys, if you want to comment or ask questions, we really welcome it. We would love to get more engaged as time goes on with the YouTube channel and viewers. So let us know your thoughts.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Yep.